Strong Enough merch is now available. Go to strongenoughpod.com and see all the things that you can get to show your strong enough pride, as well as remind people and yourself that you are strong enough and you are worth it. Welcome to the Strong Enough podcast, where we talk about the challenges and celebrate the triumphs of people from all walks of life. I'm your host, Claudia. Today's guest is back for round 2. She's going to talk about living with depression, raising 2 kids with special needs, and why it's important to remember to take time for yourself. Please help me welcome Anke Van Dooren. Anke, how are you today?
Hi, I'm doing well. Thank you. How are you?
I'm good, and I'm so excited to have you here today. And I want to start, for those who can see us right now, and say that we are having a twinsy moment. So if you would pick up your mug you got there, that's right. So I don't know what's in your mug. We might not be twinsying there, but it's not coffee. That's all I'm going to say. Not coffee.
For me, it's just tea.
I figured yours was going to be tea. So cheers to you and cheers to your second appearance on Strong Enough. So for those people who may not know you or who didn't see your first episode, why don't you tell us a little about you?
Well, I'm Anke. I won't say my last name because most people won't be able to say it anyway. I'm from the Netherlands. I am a mom of 2 special needs kids. I'm married. And well, I've had a past, and that's why I was there last time to talk about depression and all that kind of stuff. So let's see what this talk brings us.
Yeah, we're just gonna roll into it and hopefully have a good time and also share some meaningful stuff with people. I do want to start by asking a little bit about depression and art, because I know that art is very important to you. I would love if you would share kind of how you figured out that art helped a little bit with your depression and what that means to you now.
Well, I've always liked art. And when I was younger, I went to an art school. It was like a teenager. It wasn't like I was there every day, like that kind of stuff, but it was like every Saturday, all our kids came together. It was actually in Belgium, but that's not that far from here. So it's like it was only 2 towns away. That's how close I am to Belgium. But they have like classes, and I just loved it. And just life came into the way, and I stopped drawing and stopped doing art for like 15 years. And in 2019, I got to a point where I was like, at an end, I almost ended my life. Thank God I didn't. But art became very important to me. I noticed that I wanted to do something again, and I missed it. So even after 15 years, you can still miss something. It was in the beginning, it was still like, oh my God, I'm so bad. But it's the same with everything. Practice, practice, practice. And I noticed that it was giving me peace, that it was like I was able to be in like a different world, but yet in the here, and just create, just even if it was not the greatest, it was getting my art and getting my vision out of my head. So I started with drawing things that I just, I saw a picture and I wanted to draw it. That's how I started. Like that's how everybody starts, like trying to copy something. So well, and it took off from there, and now I'm painting again and doing other stuff. So just trying new things too. Like what's new? I tried to draw on wood a while back, and it was fun to do. So just keep adding. Like, what can I do now?
I'm so envious of people like you that can draw, because I can't really even draw a solid stick figure. My stick figures always look like this, it's not good. Um, so how do you feel though when you're learning these new mediums of art? So, from going to paper to digital and painting and just different things. How does that feel for you to try to learn something new like that?
It was scary in the beginning because like the first things I did like on digital, that was really like a big step for me. And I was like, this is not the same as paper. At first I was like, oh, I can't, I'm not drawing something and then I can like get my eraser. But I was like, oh wait, but I can shrink things and I can make them bigger. And I was like, oh wait, no, this has other options. And now I'm trying new things with brushes because apparently you can buy even more brushes and just play around. So, and sometimes I get challenges from people. That's fun too.
What would you say is the thing that you're most proud of when it comes to your art? Like what is the one piece that is near and dear to your heart?
I think in the end it's gonna be my elephants. It's the first time that I really, really, really didn't see any mistakes. Like I always see mistakes in my work. It's like a lot of people say like, "Oh, but your art is the best," but I'm like, "No, that face is like a little crooked, or like its nose is not correct, or the eyes are bigger than they're supposed to be." And that was, and to me, I never drew elephants because they're so difficult to draw. I mean, they have so many wrinkles and so many things. So I was so scary to do it, but it came out so great in my opinion that I it's still going to be one of my favorite pieces. And it's the one that I sold the most actually of print. So
Okay, well, so that's always a good thing. The more you sell, the better, right?
yeah, and I guess they feel that it's like that passion is there, like that I'm proud of it. I don't know. It's like it has a vibe.
It definitely has a vibe. I know that you try to draw every day, and it's something that is very important to you to get that drawing time in. And there's days few and far between where you just can't do it because life happens. How does that affect you mentally and emotionally when you don't get that time to take for yourself to do that?
It's been a process too because I had a period that if I couldn't draw, I was just cranky. I was mad at myself. Like, why didn't I draw? I'm letting it go more now. Like, I'm thinking more like, okay, this is a hobby. This is something that brings good to me. And if I'm getting frustrated because I can't draw, then it's not good either because it's giving me stress. So I'm letting go more like, okay, so this is was a busy day. I've been busy. I've been doing my things. I'm just letting go that sometimes, it's not there. But then I do try to like even that they always try to do something like take a bath or do at least something that really gives me a little peace before I go to bed or anything because that's the most important thing you can do. So
What do you think that you are showing other people? And what I mean by that is you post a lot on social media about the things that you do for yourself. So you post when you draw and kind of your progress in that. And you post your bath time and sometimes your funny bath bombs and the bath bombs that go wrong. And if you want to know about that, just go to Anka's social media. But what do you think that those things show other people about how important it is to take time for yourself?
because I mean I also share when my depression was there, like when I was having a hard time that I didn't take that time. And there was a time when I went into full workout mode, and that was I ended up hurting myself. I still work out because it's very important, and I still see it as very important. So, but I lost what I wanted.
I do that all the time. I'd lose my head if it wasn't attached.
To but just showing that and that life isn't like perfect either, like that you even in your me time you can have mistakes and can but see the fun in that, like see the laugh in it, like mine missed that, but that
That
was a
was a
fail.
That was a total fail, and I don't even wanna say what it is because I want people to go look at it, and we will share your social media handle at the end here, so if anybody doesn't know it, they can go see the fail and hit the heart on that so that they saw it. I love what you said about showing people that life isn't perfect and that even in self care, it's not always perfect. And I think that's something that so many of us struggle with, especially when it comes to social media, because we're so focused on showing the high moments of our lives and we don't always show the low moments. How important is it to you to be able to show those low moments and gain support from other people and let other people know that it's okay?
For me, it's mostly when I share it. It's also just for me to get it out because the more you talk about stuff, the better. I even had the discussion with that with one lady on social media the other day. But it's how do I say it? Um, it's just about being real, I think, and showing only the perfect things will only make people feel that they're not perfect. Like, oh, but that's she's like perfect. Everything is perfect about her, and why isn't that me? And if people see more, and I'm glad that more and more people on social media are doing it, showing their downsides, and like with the depression, I'm kind of like I want to tell people like it's okay. I mean, if you accept that you have a depression, that's the start. That's like, okay, and now I can work on that. Because if you are already not like accepting that there's a depression, then you can't go forward. Like, you have to start. And by accepting what is there and that it's not perfect, even at me time, it's like, to me, you have to always feel like it's good. I that's not a good English, sorry. But it has to feel good for you. Like, as I said, like if I couldn't draw and I'm getting stressed of that, that's not a good sign. That's not like okay, wasn't able to draw today, but I did, and then show the list what I did do. And it's the same with like the bad times. I try to tell people like if you have a day, it's like 1 hour has been shitty. That doesn't mean the day was bad, but most people keep like focusing on that 1 hour, but it was like it's 24 hours. That 1 hour is nothing. Like your day was good. Like what was the positive in that day? And I'm learning more and more to appreciate that.
I think it's hard for a lot of people, and I don't necessarily know why, but we do, as a society, seem to go towards that, focusing on the one bad hour instead of the 23 other okay or really good hours, or the hours that you spend sleeping, which I love because sleep is like one of my favorite things to do. So, all those hours are fantastic. What do you think we need to do to get more people to change that story, to be able to look at those 23 other hours instead of the one not so good one?
Keep talking about it. I mean, keep telling people like, okay, today was even if the day was bad, you can always look bigger. Like, okay, today was bad, but like in my entire week, that day was, the week was good. Like, oh, you can always look like the bigger picture. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that that one day was bad that it's gonna you know suck tomorrow. It's just, and I always try to get up with the feeling like, okay, I'm getting my cup of tea, and it's like it's a new day, we're gonna start anew. Yesterday that didn't go so well, so let's not do that today, and let's go for it again. And I noticed with that attitude, it's like every day is a new, and you get over those bad moments easily because it's like, oh, that wasn't so nice, and you get like, and then most of the times, me 10 minutes later, I'm like, why was I mad again? I mean, I don't know. Or it's like I realize that I'm getting mad over like something that's just not important or not. So it was something small that in the end did it matter? I almost did the quoted link Park.
Yes, and now it just went through my head as well. So, what do you think about the cultural differences in dealing with depression? So, you live in the Netherlands, you associate with a lot of people in America and other countries. You've been to America, coming back hopefully soon. Do you find that there are cultural differences in how people in your country view depression and other mental health issues, and then how other parts of the world deal with and view mental health issues?
I actually had this discussion with a friend, and with a friend in America and with a friend here in the Netherlands, because they're kind of in a spot now where it's not going well either. And I kept saying, keep talking, go to English, a therapist. And I say the same thing. You said it too a few times. Like, go to a therapist. That's not bad, but if you don't feel a click with that person, go look for another one. That's the same, and that doesn't matter in what country you are. But I was kind of disappointed in a way that in both America and the Netherlands, mental health isn't seen as a priority by like doctors. If you call the doctor like, "Oh, I'm not feeling well mentally," and all that kind of stuff, there's a waiting list to go to a therapist. I'm like, how is there a waiting list? That's not. My friend is trying to get there. They said it was gonna take 3 months. That's way too long. That's way too long. And I'm like, and thank God here in the Netherlands, you can get like they have assistants at the doctor and you can talk to them. So you do get somebody that you can, it's not like the big deal of the big therapist, but at least you can talk about your problems and talk about. So that's a good thing. But other than that, and in America it's the same. Like you have to wait so much, or they don't take you seriously. Like, are you sure? Except here in the Netherlands, if you say like, "I want to end my life," if you only say it once, then the doctor is going fast. I don't know why that is, but and that's a good thing. That's a positive thing. Like if they immediately say like, "Oh wait, how long have you had this symptoms? Or what are you?" Then it's like an alarm bell going off and action. So that's a good thing. That's fine.
How do how do people feel about medication there? Is there a wide acceptance of medication for mental health issues or not so much?
In my, because it depends on kind of where you live, but my doctor, because it depends on your doctor too, but my doctor is like, if we can do it without medication, we will. But she is also realistic. Like, if she really sees that somebody is struggling, then she's like, no, we're gonna give you some medication at least to, you know, stop the stress and all that kind of stuff. So I know somebody that also goes to my doctor and she got medication and I didn't get medication back then. So, and I'm not really one of those persons for medication anyway. So they normally, I already have to take medication for my thyroid, and that's like, that's already a thing.
So you don't
So,
wanna add any more on top of it if you don't
no.
have to.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So you mentioned earlier that you are a mom and that you are the mom of 2 special needs kids, and I know that's gotta be challenging on top of everything else. So how do you balance dealing with the special needs of your children and making sure that they get everything that they need, and your own wellness and well-being and making sure that you get everything you need?
It's been a struggle, and that's kind of how my depression started. That I was just keep, I just kept going. I didn't ask for help. I just kept going, and I knew that I was struggling, and I knew that my kid back then she didn't get like a diagnosis yet, but the older one does have kind of a diagnosis, but she's a bit more like she just, her emotions are just too much, and like in a big classroom she gets overwhelmed. So that's, but my youngest has autism, so that's kind of, and so autism that can go all kind of ways. Like like every person is different, every autistic person is different too. But hers is pretty happy because she is 9, but she has the capability of a 3-year-old. So I have like a toddler in the house and a teenager. So that combination is. But now I asked for help, and in the Netherlands, you can get help in her house, but it's not like she's there like every day, but she just comes every week. She comes for like 2 hours, and we just talk about stuff like stuff needs to be done. If she can help me with that, so that's the first step I took, and they have a good initiative for special needs kids. They can have weekends. Sadly, my daughter was too heavy for that because there's more people or more kids there, so they and she really needs one-on-one because else she will run away, and not like she will run away because she wants to, but because she's distracted by a butterfly or whatever. So she was not we couldn't do that for her, and that was a big bummer for me because it was like, even if I just have a weekend that I can just like and we couldn't do that. So we got the help, and they together with us tried to find a place where she can stay. So now she gets to school on Monday. She from school she goes to a stay over house. I don't know how else to call it in English. And from there she goes to school again on Tuesday. So every Monday and Monday night I have just the elder, and despite that she's a teenager, she's you don't have to constantly watch her like you have to do with a toddler, because she does have also have the toddler phase, like taking things out of the cupboard and all that kind of stuff. And with that teenager, I don't have to think about that. So, and that step, it was a hard step because in a way you feel like you're abandoning your kid. At least that's how I felt. Like I'm just putting my kid away and like, oh, and so it was a hard decision, but it's a good decision for all of us. Also for my oldest daughter, because now she has a day where it's not about her sister, and it's not like that I'm constantly have to watch her sister, and I can just say things to her. We can do things together. So in the end it was a good step for the entire family. So
I love that you said that because that was one of the things that I did want to talk about because I know that you did feel some guilt, some mom guilt, parent guilt, when you were thinking about having her go to that stay over home once a week. And it was a hard decision for you to make and decide to do that. What I love that you just said is it ends up being the best decision for all of you. Everybody in your family is benefiting. So, what would you tell people who are in that place of being either afraid to ask for help or they feel guilty about asking for help, whether it's with their kids or with their mental health issues? What would you say to those people about how you made the decision and got past the guilt?
well, it's a mind thing, so it's difficult. It's not something you do in like a day. Like just don't think about that's not. But think about the bigger picture. I always say, and you're doing it for, and if you still feel like you're doing it for you and for your kid, because in the end it's also very important to get your me time and get your rest, because if mom is happy, the kids are happy. And I had that conversation what I said online. She kept saying like, no, I feel guilty because I'm always there, or my kid is always there, and I miss like an adult to talk to, and I feel guilty. And I was like, you deserve me time. And she was like, no, I don't. And I was like, how? I was like, you do. Everybody deserves me time. I mean, even my husband, he's like always working, and then he comes home, and a lot of times he does other stuff, or he doesn't do that much in a house keeping, but because he works so much, even he deserves his me time. I mean, he has to get his frustration out, and he can do that with me. But he's going on a, what was it again? A high beer. It's like you get little dinner, and then you get like beers to taste. So they're gonna do that somewhere in April.
I love it. I love it.
I thought you would. You can. Where they're going, they also have a high wine, and you can have it together. Like if somebody likes wine, they can have the high wine, and the other one can get the beer.
I want to come and do the high bine. So I want the beer and the wine. I want to do the high bine.
It's like a high tea. That's kind of the idea, right? It's high tea, but then with beer.
I love this. This is the most amazing thing that we have revealed during this entire conversation.
Actually becoming a big thing here. So it's you can have it on multiple spots. You can already do it. So
I love
we're,
this.
we're the country that, especially where I live in Brabant. That was a bit English, Brabant. That's better. But we are a bit of a beer region. Like we like to eat. We like to. We're the. I don't know how that Burgundies. I don't know if that's even an English word, but we like to eat, we like to drink, we like to party, be together and have fun.
I like all
So,
these things. So I would fit right in there, I feel
oh,
like.
you know, come here to carnival. You can have this time or dress up.
Yes, this is amazing. You mentioned your husband. I would love it if you talked a little bit about, other than drinking beer, what are some of the things that he tries to do for me time? Because again, I think it's hard, especially for men, to focus on self care and understand that they need to take time for themselves. So, what are some of the things that you have found successful for him for his time?
Well, he's been a workaholic for a long time, and he actually never did it. When I met him, he was a fisher. He liked to fish, and he like one day and the other, he like all his fish gear is gone. It's kind of sad. He was good at it actually. I I went with him once, and I there was this tiny fish, and I was even too scared to hold it. I'm not good at fishing, but he really liked it. But after a while, it just worked, and now we have like it's not necessarily a new friend group, but it's a group that kind of after Corona combined together, like that we knew each other, and now with those guys, we have some kind of bond, and I'm now kind of like just go. And he has another friend group from way back when he was in high school, and they always go to the movie theater. So he does that too, and he said no to them a lot of times. So I'm glad they still asked him to come, but he weren't there last time too. And then he talks about like the movies they're going is always the movie I want to see. I'm
Of
like, why?
course.
He went to so many Marvel movies, and I was like, but I wanted to see
What about me?
it. Yeah, but I'm glad he's starting to ask because it was a while that he was just like, for me, I always have to think about like having to have somebody to babysit the kids if I go, or have to make sure that he's home while he can just make it a, the guys say like, oh, tonight we're going out, and then he just leaves. Like, I'm like, hello.
What
And
about me and everybody else?
and he's learning how to, and I kind of think it's also sweet that he's like, so the guys want to go to the theater, can I go? And I was like, it's so nice that you're asking me, and I always say yes. That is because what I said, it's important that he has to have his me time too. So he one time planned it wrong because I also had my me time that day, so that was kind of.
So we need a me time calendar, it sounds like.
Well, it was fun because I thought like this is gonna be a problem. Then his friend said like, "Oh, we have to like move it one day," and I was like, "Problem solved."
Done. Worked out
Solved itself.
perfectly.
Solved itself.
So I know that you have a lot of online interaction, both personally and then also in leading or running a fan club for a band. And we don't have to necessarily get into that specifically, but what I want to ask you is How are you able to impact people that you come into contact with when it comes to dealing with depression, dealing with special needs kids through these online platforms?
I just put my stuff out there, like, I'm just honest about him, and also, like, I think a long time ago, like, I think it was even 3 years ago when I started, like, really breaking down, I even posted a picture of me, like, completely crying, like, my face looked so bad and ugly, and I was like, "This is mom life too. This is what having a special need kid is sometimes too." And I got so many positive reactions like, "Oh, I'm not feeling well too," or like, "Oh, it's so hard. I have a special needs kid too." And then you see how many kids have autism. That's kind of good to see too. It is funny. I still think that there's more boys diagnosed with autism than girls because girls apparently are better at hiding it. I never knew that until I got a girl that has autism. She has it in such a way that she can't hide it. So
Wow, I had no idea. I think it's cool though that you have been able to connect with so many people online. What difference has that made for you to be able to find that support and find those other people saying like, "Yeah, me too. I'm struggling too. I'm having a bad day too. I have a daughter or son with autism too." What does that mean to you?
it means a lot also because they open up to me in a way that's, different than just like, "Oh, hey, how are you?" Like the old all the DMs where you're kind of like, "Oh God." But it's just nice that to just know that I'm not alone. Sometimes they try to give me tips, and that is different because a lot of people that I connect with are from America, and a lot of things work differently here. Because if I want to get something from like the government or anything to help her out. There is a lot available in the Netherlands, but you have so much paperwork to go through before you get it. So, because she's going to a new school soon, and I have a lot of paperwork to sign off. But it's all worth. It's all worth.
Definitely all worth it. I wish they could get rid of some of the paperwork when it comes to
Well,
medical
even the
care and
school said it. Like, I'm sorry you have to like, but they have like this extra money that special need or like disabled kids get because she's officially disabled now, apparently. Which kind of is because it's this disabled. That's I learned so much in this world, but disabled person means that it's affecting your daily life, and then you're disabled. So I was like, oh, I never actually thought of it like that. Like, yeah, and yes, she is disabled because yeah, she's struggling in that way, but she's still having a good time. She's not really that like she's a bit oblivion about it because in her mind she is three. So, she's like living her best life. And everybody loves her. I don't know what that is, but everybody seems to love her and sees her.
she is adorable, I will tell you that. She is absolutely adorable.
Well, she speaks English to us.
I mean, she's doing better than me in multiple languages. So, what is it like when you look towards the future at dealing with a child with special needs and as she gets older, but maybe mentally or emotionally doesn't really get older? How do you deal with the uncertainty and the fear that you might feel in looking towards that?
It has been a part of just letting it go a bit. Like, I already say, like, as long as she's happy, I don't really mind where she's ending up or what she's doing for a job. If she even is able to do a job, maybe she has to go into, a certain place where she can stay when she's older. I don't know. Future will tell. There are a few things that I'm always kind of like that pops in my head. Like, I was like, it's a girl. She's three in her head. If she stays this way, because she's already like three for a lot of years, so I'm not really thinking that she will get any well more higher in her ranks. I don't know how to say it, but I was like, yeah, but she's a girl. Those have periods. That's how are we gonna do that? Because she still is like potty training. She still has trouble with it. Like it's She still has accidents. She still has, you know, she forgets to flush the toilet, stuff like that. Like it's small things, but still, she forgets those. And I was like, if she has a period, how are we gonna teach her how to do that? Like in a proper way. I was like, and I actually told that to the help in my house, and she was like, "We'll deal with that when it's done. Like, just relax." So that's nice to have her too. Like, she's like, I know that it's bothering you, and I like that I have a connection with that woman that I can say those things. And she said, just do keep telling them. I said, like, she said, like, at least you get it out there, and it's like, okay, this is bothering me, and we can work on it if we can't work on it yet because, well, we can't teach her anything yet because it's not happening yet. So it helps me just like, okay, you're right, not that far yet, just relax.
Take it one day at a time.
Yes, and it is one day at a time. It's like when she wakes up, I already know if it's gonna be a stressful day for me or like a day that she's gonna be fine. Like she's gonna be like a happy toddler that's just gonna play and do stuff. And there's time she wakes up and it's like immediately already like, oh god, like pulling things out of the cupboards. And she has done it a few times trying to make her own pancakes, and she just gets everything she can that she thinks needs to be in a pancake, which is not always the right thing. But yeah, then it's most times that I'm like upstairs for 5 minutes, and then I come down, and it's like my entire kitchen is white of flour and all that kind of stuff. Yay!
What is, other than how to make pancakes, what is one thing that you really want the world to see about how you deal with your kids, your marriage, yourself, and everything that you're going through? What do you want people to say, man, that Anka sure is what?
Um, I hope honest or something. I don't know. It's just this is my life. I'm like I'm not trying to be somebody I'm not. I've been how do I say it? Before my depression, I've always was somebody I wasn't because people wanted me to be a certain way, and I totally let that go. And since then, I'm kind of like, and I'm showing it online. I'm like, everybody's looking at those models, and they're like, oh, yeah, they have such a good life, and or like they're showing a car. I had that late last time, and somebody said like, oh, they bought a new car, and how do we do that, and all that kind of stuff. They're so rich, and I wish I was so rich. And I was like, well, you don't know what's behind it. And she was like, what do you mean? I said, they could have a loan for those cars. You don't know. I mean, even the cars online are sometimes just they're still at the where they sell
Right.
cars at the dealer. They just take a picture at the dealer, like, oh, it's my new car. And
Exactly. Do
so
you
just
do you feel freer now? Because you said before depression, you never got the chance to be yourself because you were being somebody that people wanted you to be. So now that you deal with depression, do you actually feel freer and able to be you and comfortable with that?
yeah. I've learned to let go of a lot of stuff more, and like especially opinions from other people. Like I could be stuck in somebody's like opinion about me, like even a few years back, somebody would say something, I would be like, oh, they're saying that why I'm not like that, like, and now I'm thinking like, yeah, if you think about me that way, I'm sorry. I thought I did my best. Okay, and I just, especially on social media, it's just like unfollow or block, so it's easy to do that. But in real life, I let go of some people in real life too. So just, and sometimes it wasn't even because we were like having a bad relationship or something. It just grew apart. Like they had a different kind of life. And when you have special needs kids, you do find out who your real friends are, because a lot of people are like they always say no because we can't always go somewhere, because if she has one of her days or I had to do a lot alone a few years back, and I had to say no a lot because I was not able to watch two kids by myself in a big place. Or it was like, is there a fence around it so she doesn't walk away? Stuff like that. I was constantly busy with that, and people were like, "Oh, we're annoyed. No, we're not asking her anymore." At first, I was like, "Why? I mean, I'm losing friends, And now I'm thinking like, well, I guess they weren't supposed to be my friends. I guess like it's you learn to deal with it. So
I think sometimes in real life we also need to block and unfollow people.
yes,
I think that's totally fine. We have talked about some pretty heavy stuff. We are going to take a turn here and talk about another topic before I let you go. A topic that is near and dear to both of our hearts, and that is tattoos. Now, you
yes.
can't see any of your tattoos right this moment. Now you can. You can see my tattoos as well right this moment because I once again get to wear a short sleeve shirt. Uh, I want to hear about your favorite tattoo right now that you have.
Oh, that's a good one. I think it's my leg tattoo from Full Metal Alchemist. It's one of my favorite series, and it is the Seven Sins. I think last time that I was on, I was still getting it. It was like partially done, I think, and now it's done. And it's still one of my when summer comes, I'm kind of like I'm not one of those people that gets tattoos to show off, but I'm kind of proud to show it up.
How long did that take? Because I know it was quite the process. So how many sessions did that take you?
Oh, I think it was 5 sessions of 3 hours. That would be 15 hours in total. That's a lot of skin on your leg.
There is a lot of skin on your leg, even if you're skinny, and you are. So that's a lot. What was the most painful part of that?
I think the inside of my knee, like, well, it depended on like. I always say that like when I'm tired, that's that I went to Nottingham, like to England for a concert, and I came back on December 2nd, and December 3rd I got a tattoo, like immediately the day after, and I was like, oh, I'll be fine. But that was in my inner side of my leg, my other leg, and I was like, this thing hurts. I was like, I never had so much pain on a tattoo. I was like, what's going on? But that was just because I was tired. Yeah. So that's a big. I already say to people like, what hurts the most? I was like, depends on how you feel, how well you slept, stuff like that. It's that definitely you definitely have to think about that. And my hand tattoo was pretty painful too, but
I know we have talked about this before that tattoo sessions there are a little bit different in that you do like 3-hour sessions ish. And here they will pound away on your skin for 7-8 hours at a time.
well,
I
you
know
can.
that
I found out that there are Dutch artists that. So don't worry. It was my artist just chooses to do that. Like I'm only doing 3 hours for max, but he also does it for himself. Like that he doesn't get like you know. He is already a bit older too. Well, he's not that old. He's 50. That's not old, but he says that he's getting older. So he's kind of like I need to like take steps too because if I go out for 8 hours. He said, like the last hour, you're gonna have a sucky tattoo, and I don't want to do that. So it's kind of his own choice to like to get like a good tattoo. So
what do you think you would prefer? Like, are you good with the 3-hour sessions, or do you feel like, oh my gosh, if I could just get all this done at once and be done with it, that would be great?
I like the 3 hour sessions because most of the times I find out, especially because I do have that thyroid problem, and my immune system, like after a few hours, it it hits me. It's like you can see me bleeding like crazy and stuff like that. So you can see that my skin is also getting like irritated. So for me, it's like it's perfect. I did one session of 4 hours, and that went really well because it was at a spot that was I almost fell asleep. So, but yeah, I think for me that 3 hours is like it's a good stop, and like I don't mind like waiting. He said it to me, and that will always stick in my mind. Also, when people say like, "Oh, I'm getting too old to get tattoos," it's there for the rest of your life. That week or two that you have to wait, or even if you have to wait a month, it's gonna be there for the rest of your life. So that's not gonna matter. And I learned that especially also with Corona because I got it got postponed a lot, a lot of appointments. So, and I got frustrated, but it was more like a frustrated, like I was excited to get a tattoo and then I had to wait. That was kind of more, it was not necessarily like, oh no, I'm not getting it because I am getting it, but I just had to wait.
What is next? What do you think will be your next tattoo?
I kind of already have a little bit of the design. I went to a show for Carnival. We had to go to a orchestra like that's playing here in our village. They have to like put on a show, and the one that organized it made a design of I don't know how it's called in English, but it's like what it's at the front of a music bar. I don't know what it, I if I show you the picture, you're like, oh, that one.
Right, right.
But it's like in little blocks. It's like a little design, and it's full of color. And I saw it and was like, I'm taking this with me, and I wanted like I wanted my one leg is full metal, and I want to dedicate my other leg. So yes, my entire leg will be. But I want to dedicate that to music because I now have a lot of lyrics on there and a guitar. So I want everything music. I want to be on there. And I was immediately like, I want that. And the one that designed it knows that I want to get it. So she was like, oh, because he's like a teenager. So she was like, somebody wants my design on the tattoo. And I was like, I'm going to show it to the tattoo artist, and the tattoo artist will make something, because I always let the tattoo artist make like the design. If he chooses to like take it as is, then that's it. But I want him to have the input because he's the one who has to put it on my body. It's like when people ask me to draw something for them to get tattoos, I'm like, one, are you sure? And two, let the artist, you can get my drawing and like give it as a reference. I wouldn't mind that, but like let him use it as a reference and let him do his own thing to it because he's the artist. He's like the one who also has to put it on his skin. And I've had people ask me if I wanted to tattoo them. That's a big no.
Interesting. Would
That was
you ever tattoo anyone?
I don't think I would because I would be so scary to fuck it up.
Me
And
too.
I told that person too. She was like, "No, I really want to get something from you." I was like, "But tattooing is something different than putting on paper. I mean, on paper I can erase it, and like, I mean, if I put a stripe on your leg, it's gonna be there forever."
Always.
And
Always.
I don't have the knowledge. That it's so different. Like, how do you shade that with a tattoo gun? I mean, I see it done, but like, how do you actually do it? So no, I will never. Maybe if I ever get an apprentice, but to be honest, I don't think that's my kind of key. Although I would fit in at a tattoo shop probably, but
You absolutely, absolutely would. Anka, where can people find you? So if they want to check out your art or if they want to check out your fan page that you run for a band, or if they want to check out your personal page so that they can also witness the bath bomb disaster, where can they find you?
most of the I'm most active on Instagram because I also have a YouTube, but I'm slowly getting stuff on there. But most of the names are just Anke van Day. So that's Anke. You're gonna put it in the description probably because it's more that it is actually Anke van Dooren. So, and my art page is just art by in front of it. And well, my fan page is Shinedown Nederland, and Nederland is just the way we say the Netherlands, so it's just the Dutch way of saying it. But that's just for that band and that craziness.
Right on. Well, I will put all of those on the screen and in the show notes so everybody will be able to track you down. Anke, you have been absolutely amazing today, as usual. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit more about your story and your life and what is going on with you.
Yeah. So thank you for having me again.
If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and follow us on social media so you'll never miss what's going on. Remember, until next week, you are strong enough, you are worth it. Thank you for listening to the Strong Enough podcast. You can find us on your favorite podcast platform by searching Strong Enough. And on YouTube, we're on the Spear Talk channel. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Strong Enough Pod. If you have suggestions for an upcoming episode or a future guest, please reach out at strongenoughpod@gmail.com. Remember, you are worth it.